heart at ease. Aaron tells a story with southern charm, blessing hearts, doing no harm. You might laugh, you might cry, you might learn something, but please don't try. Spiritual whispers, political debates, stories that resonate, open the gates from the heart of the South. With a gentle touch, Aaron's tales can mean so much. He unravels mystery with an open mind, connecting souls one word at a time. Aaron tells a story with a southern charm, blessing hearts, doing no harm. You might laugh, you might cry, you might learn something, but please don't try. Every word, every line, crafted to bless every time. In the world of Aaron's tales, every story, every sail, Aaron tells a story with a southern charm, blessing hearts, doing no harm. You might laugh, you might cry, you might learn something, but please don't try.
So glad to be with you this evening. I'm going to tell you a few stories tonight. Let me know if you can hear me, first of all, if you're watching. If you can hear me, put it in the live chat somewhere, whether on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, wherever. Let me know if you can see me. I'm going to tell you a few stories. You may hear from some children in the background, and that's okay. I'm a dad. I'm going to tell you a few stories, but before I do that, I wanted to tell you about why. Some of you may not even know what this thing called Rumble is all about. Why does Aaron say he's on Rumble? Actually, I'm going to be streaming on Rumble, on Locals, on Facebook, and on YouTube, and maybe other ones as time goes on. And there's a few things that the only ones I'm worried about are Facebook and YouTube that may not like what I say and pull the plug. If you don't believe me, look up what's happening to the CEO of Telegram over in France right now, who's been arrested for not even his free speech, but not moderating other people's speech enough. And in our country, we're not far behind. So I believe in free speech, and we want people to experience free speech. So I want you to have an experience with me, my stories, but sometimes, especially if I get into some, I don't know, quasi political things ever. We want to be careful that I don't care if I get taken off of YouTube or Facebook, but I want to have a platform established. So that's where Rumble comes into play, because if I accidentally hit a button like this,
if you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady.
let's try that again because I don't think it worked.
If you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady.
One more time for those in the back.
If you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady.
So I don't want to get in trouble. So on YouTube and Facebook, so they may kick me off. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to be telling some stories, and sometimes it might not be what they deem is appropriate, and it will be Jesus loving stories, and it will, but it may not agree with everybody, and that's fine too. Um, Rumble.com. If you go to your iPhone or Android Google Play Store, and you download the Rumble app, you can find Aaron Tells a Story there, and you actually have an opportunity on there. And there's a link in the description of this video that says how to join a pro membership. What that means is you're going to get, as soon as I start doing them, you're going to get an extra video a week that other people don't get. Right now, I'm planning on doing live streams twice a week for free for everybody. But then on the extra, pro members will get extra content that the others just don't get. And that is on a site called Locals. And if that's a lot right now, it's okay. Just stick with me for a while. We'll get there. 3 stories. Once upon a time, I don't want to say once upon a time, it was about 1994. I was going on a trip with my grandmother. We were going down to Titusville, Florida to visit my great grandparents who lived there and now are buried there. And they had a house down, it's right across from the Space Center. So remember where NASA would fire off rockets and everything, and it was right there across the river. And down there, where there's a wonderful restaurant called Dixie Crossroads, and they sell rock shrimp that you could eat. Oh, it's so yummy, so yummy. Well, anyway, my grandmother took us down there, and myself and my little brother, and he was about 2 at the time, so that would have made me about 9 years old. And we were headed back home. So we were driving up 95, Interstate 95, back towards South Carolina. And we stop at a gas station. This was probably between Jacksonville, Florida, and Savannah, Georgia. And we stop at a gas station to get some drinks and snacks and fill up with gas. And my grandmother, the one who just passed away, I love her so much. We actually had her memorial service yesterday. Um, we went in to get the drinks and we paid, and we get back out to the car, and she couldn't find her keys in her purse. And so we're looking around outside. We go back in the store. Finally, we managed to go around to the other side of the car, and yep, there they were in the ignition, locked up tight. And the car was, this was an Datsun, old Datsun 210. So there was no push button to open or anything like that. It was a old car. You had manual locks, you had crank windows, and there was not even adjustable mirrors. There may have been a light on the inside, but I don't remember if it worked or not. And so it took us a while. We eventually called the highway patrol, and they sent a trooper out, and that took about an hour or so. And so there we were waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally he came out with his little jimmy stick, and he stuck it down in there and finally was able to pop the lock open for us. And we were able to get on our way. And it wasn't but about maybe 20, 30 minutes later on 95. 95 is famous for accidents. And there we were on 95. And all of a sudden, traffic came to a dead stop. And I mean, dead stop. Did not go anywhere for about more than an hour. And when it did start moving, we finally asked people, how long had you been waiting here? And they said, oh, about an hour and a half or so. And we calculated, and that was right about the time that we realized our keys were locked in the car. Sometimes God uses our own foolishness and what seems to be our mistakes. Sometimes God uses our humanity to bring glory to himself and allow him to work in our favor to protect us. Story number 2 takes place a few years later. This is about 2005, December 28th, 2005. It had been Christmas time, and my parents were very generous and bought me tires on my new car. It wasn't a new car, excuse me. They bought me new tires on my old car, and it was everything was working order. The tires were great. The brakes had gotten done. I had just put new windshield wipers on. Back then, we didn't, back in 2005, I didn't check the weather report every day, but I was leaving the church that I worked at to go visit another church. And this was actually where I would become a children's pastor for 10 years and spend a lot of time there. But it was going to be the very first time I ever went there. And I was headed down the road, and all of a sudden it got pitch black. And when I say it got pitch black, I mean, you could not see what was right in front of you. And so I slowed down terribly, but I also am smart enough not to just stop. Yes, I had my flashers on, I believe, but I didn't stop in the middle of the road as I've seen some other people do recently on the interstate driving down the road in the middle of a storm. Probably not the greatest way to prevent an accident is by stopping in the middle of the interstate. So I slowed down though, but I was looking straight ahead and I slowed down, and it had been documented later, but I slowed down drastically. And the next thing I knew, I see this in front of me. And there was a man there, and he had walked out in front, I guess trying to stop traffic, but you could not see him. And he was hit by my car, which sounds nicer than saying I hit him with my car. And unfortunately, he did not make it. It was a very tragic accident, and it was the first time I had ever seen anyone pass away. And I was devastated. There was a lady standing there. Thank God that everything was in working order. The tires were brand new that day, the windshield wipers that day, because they brought out the forensic teams and they measured everything, and I was able to stop very quickly. And it was a blessing that I was able to live. Unfortunately, he was not. And I don't know why God sometimes allows some people to recover from things and why others don't. I don't know why some people get COVID and do just fine and others don't and and pass away. I don't know why the difference is. But I do know this. I'm going to change cameras up here. I do know this, that God has his reasons and he allows certain things to happen. He he doesn't tell us why, but he allows it to occur. And then finally, I'm going to back up again. There was a story that I had back in probably, this was probably about 1992. I was a little, maybe 93. It was not, no, it was the end of 1994. That was it. Because I was ending third grade and I was so excited because my mom and dad were going to take me on a trip. We were going to go to Texas. I had never been on a plane before. It was my first time going on a plane. And so I was very excited. And we were headed out there. We were up in the air. Oh, it was so much fun. Take off and everything. It was great. The snacks on the plane. You got snacks back then, and we flew to Texas. You know, getting up sometimes isn't the scary part on the plane. It's the coming down that can be a little troubling. And in this particular case, they were worried about their landing gear. They were up in the air, and the landing gear, they had some difficulties. They had some troubles. And so they come across the speaker and they say, folks, we're, landing gear is not engaging like we expect it to. And so we need you all to prepare for the possibility of a crash landing. And I was 8 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. I didn't know what that meant, but they walked everybody through, showed everybody how to get into a crash position and cover your heads. And my mom had a infant with her, my little brother, and so they had to go and look up and research how do mothers with babies protect the babies and themselves and all these things. Thank the Lord that the landing gear did actually come down as expected. It did not stay up, and so we survived. We lived. Everything was okay. But once again, why do these things happen? We don't know why. Why 3 years ago was my brother in a motorcycle accident and it took his life. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know. But I do know this. Our God is a loving God. He is actually a protective father. And sometimes he allows certain things to happen to protect. And sometimes he lets his hand still own the situation, but he handles it a different way. And, the Lord gives, the Lord takes away, the Bible says, and blessed be the name of the Lord. But sometimes it's not God doing it. Sometimes it's God working with our will that he gave us, our free will that he gave us, and we've made decisions that impact certain things too. John 10:10 says, "The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and to destroy." We do have an enemy of our souls, and he seeks to kill, to steal, and to destroy. "But I have come," Jesus says, "that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd, and the good shepherd gives his life for his sheep. But a hireling, who's not a shepherd, one does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. The wolf catches the sheep and scatters them." And sometimes we feel like the wolf has caught us and scattered us. Sometimes we have to ask God, where are you? What happened here? And we have to remind ourselves that he is the good shepherd. He has not allowed the wolf to get us. He has not allowed the wolf to destroy us. He says, "I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and I'm known by my own. And my Father knows me, and so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for my sheep." So in troubled times, in tough times, I am grateful that when we have near-death experiences or when things are rough and tough and we don't see the big picture here, that we can still trust that even though the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, we have a good shepherd who will even lay down his life for his own sheep. He lays down his life for his sheep. One other last story. I told this at the memorial service for my grandmother, but my great-grandfather, I told it to my great-uncle afterwards. I remember one time my great-grandfather was down in Titusville, Florida, and over on the side of the road was a little marshy area, little pond. And if you know anything about Central Florida, if the water's wet, there's an alligator in that water. And so my great-grandfather stopped the car and pulled over and said, Aaron, look over there. We see these eyes staring at us. And so he decided, and I told this the incorrect way the other day. I had to think about what was going on here because it didn't make sense. He grabbed some cattails, some reeds off the side of the marsh, and he started throwing the cattails a little bit closer until finally he got a cattail right in front of the alligator, and the alligator goes, whoa. And about that time, we decided we have irritated this alligator. It's time to go get in the car. I didn't say we were the smartest people or had common sense. I'm just saying that sometimes if that alligator had chased us, it would have been for our own stupidity and our own doing. It's not God sitting there going, I want this alligator to eat them today. But just remember, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but he has come that we have life and have it more abundantly. God bless you. Have a great night. I'm going to go out with my song. Here we go. Go out with the jam.
Join Aaron on a journey where the tales unfold. He's got a way with words, a storyteller bold. Sometimes it's facts, sometimes it's fiction. Dramatic highs, anticlimactic conviction. His voice moves like wind through the autumn trees, crafting memories that put your heart at ease. Aaron tells a story with a southern